Imagine a city without one of its most iconic landmarks. If the decision had gone another way, if another voice had been heard. Let's imagine it was decided to go with this instead. Bradfield became the name everyone remembers today, but another engineer had a vision that was truly unique. Francis Ernest Stowe's three-axis bridge could have become the icon that represents Sydney, an option that could so easily have become the reality we know today. Not only would it have transformed what has become a well-known and famously recognisable feature of this city, but it would have fundamentally changed the shape and evolution of the city too, an immeasurably important step in Sydney's evolution. And, like every major development like this, it all comes down to the decision of just a few. We end up living with the outcome. It forms part of the familiar we know as home. But it can be surprising to examine just how easily things might have turned out another way.
Now who will stand on either hand and build the bridge with me?
Let's go right back. Sydney evolved around an incredible harbour, even before Europeans. The 29 clans of the Eora nation knew just how special this place was. Then the European settlers found a harbour that was ideal, which quickly grew from camps to towns and then a city that stretched across both sides of the Great Harbour. As early as 1814, a bridge was proposed to Governor Macquarie by Francis Greenway, the New South Wales government architect. By 1890, it was the subject of a royal commission which concluded by supporting the idea of a bridge, but did not recommend proceeding immediately. At the turn of the century, a design competition was held to find a solution. It was won by Edward Crotwell, the designer of Tower Bridge in London. But for various reasons, it never went forward. A couple of years later, in 1902, there was another competition, this time won by Norman Self.
God's noblest waterway. It will crown my life.
But he too would not see his bridge go forward. Yet this is the story of Francis Ernest Stowe, an innovative engineer, architect and town planner who at the time of these competitions had just founded Sydney Marine Engineers College. While there is no evidence he entered these early competitions with his unique and innovative bridge design, you can assume as a respected voice in engineering and architecture, he would hold strong opinions on what the right solution should be. From the young age of 23, in 1890, he was already working in Parramatta as a civil engineer and architect, and was responsible for a number of key buildings that still exist today. In his early 30s, he played a part in shaping the career of Australia's first female architect. After the death of her parents, Florence Mary Taylor lived with the Stowe family for a number of years. Stowe took her into his practice and encouraged and mentored her in her studies in engineering and architecture. In 1903, at just 36, he designed and implemented an innovative counterweight tram system on Darling Street, Balmain. Perhaps his most well-known project today was the coal loading depot at Ball's Head, no doubt familiarising him with the site of his bridge concept. So in 1922, when a third bridge competition was announced, Stowe, with his experience and respect in the community, felt certain he had the right solution for Sydney. It's so easy to take what's around us for granted, but every structure we see around us was chosen by a select few from the plans and concepts that were made available. And, like drops of water on stone over time, every addition has a big impact on how the city evolves around it. Francis Ernest Stowe's bridge concept that he entered into the 1922 competition would have made a stunning impact on how we picture the city today. Cities grow around infrastructure, so suburban Wollstonecraft would have swapped futures with the current commercial North Sydney. Balmain would have drastically changed to become a major gateway to the inner west, transforming its small-town residential atmosphere into a bustling commercial and residential hotspot. The current city would have been spread, not from 2 centres like we have now, but over 3. Stowe had been appointed Lieutenant Colonel in the newly formed 7th Light Horse Regiment when he was 45. He did not serve in World War I, but his service and his comrades affected him. So a key part of his bridge concept was that it would serve to be a worthy remembrance of the First World War sacrifice. The structure at the top would be a beacon of remembrance shining brightly over Sydney. The unfortunately named Goat Island would be renamed as Anzac Isle, and the Anzac Isle Bridge would take on a national, if not global, significance. The Anzac Isle Bridge would be one of the key icons that the world would associate with Sydney. Every tourist's postcard or New Year's celebration would feature it. This reality would not be without some unforeseen negatives. The Anzac Isle Bridge would surely be struggling to adapt to today's needs. The 2 lanes on each arm of the bridge would have been okay in 1930, but now would be a traffic black spot. The roundabout in the centre would be the stuff of peak hour nightmares. So far, we've explored what might have been in the physical realm. But if the Anzac Isle Bridge stood proudly today, it's likely Stowe would have left an intellectual mark too. Stowe's unique and innovative ideas weren't limited to engineering. Later in life, he wrote books exploring a wide range of theories. Ideas that might have had a wider audience if he'd been the successful and famous designer of Sydney's Anzac Isle Bridge. Today, people could have been using his concept for a universal time system, one that removed the need for different time zones entirely. He published grand ideas that tackled everything from the causes of cancer to the movements of planets. In Cancer and its Cause, he proposed that the primary cause of cancer was essentially too much salt. The thermodynamics of geology argued that to truly understand how the Earth changes, we need to understand how energy flows beneath its surface. And in Sunlight and Relativity, he connected solar energy with planetary motion, reaching for a kind of cosmic harmony. These were big ideas. You can almost imagine him delivering a TED talk, clicker in hand, laying out his theory on planetary motion, or why cancer comes down to salt. Pretty unique stuff. But being known can matter more than being correct. And the success of his theories hinged on his visibility. It does make you wonder what Stowe would think about you watching this video now. Would he be pleased? If YouTube had been around in Stowe's time, he might have been more fortunate. His audience would need only to like and subscribe to assure him of a following. So go on, do it for Stowe. He still had everything to play for, pursuing the hope that his design would be the one to shape Sydney's future. In this story, at least from Stowe's perspective, John Bradfield was the nemesis. They were both the same age, brilliant engineers in their own right and well-known public figures. Stowe started early and took on projects and found solutions from his early 20s. He was an independent thinker, self-taught in many disciplines, and made his mark in the private world, designing, innovating, and mentoring the next generation. Bradfield, meanwhile, rose through the public service and academia. In 1912, Bradfield became New South Wales Department of Public Works Chief Engineer. From that time, he pushed forward his vision for the bridge.
The past of history of the city must be known, present-day conditions understood, and the future visualized with imagination, originality, and sound practical judgment.
He believed it should cross from the city at Dawes Point to Milson's Point, and that it would be a steel arch bridge. He lobbied tirelessly, led feasibility studies, cost estimates, and sought legislative support. Stowe vehemently disagreed with Bradfield, so when the 1922 competition went to the Bradfield-supported Dorman Long, Stowe was only getting started. For Stowe, it was now about proving the concept and benefits of his scheme over Bradfield's. To have his place in history, he began a self-funded campaign to get public opinion on the side of his idea, which he hoped would force a shift in thinking of the city planners. He toured with a model of his bridge and detailed plans he had drawn up at his own expense, offering that the complete bridge design would be free of charge and ready within weeks of a favourable decision. Stowe was not to be defeated. This was to be his destiny, his enduring legacy, his life's work. And the public was starting to take notice. Stowe's campaign had drawn headlines, backers in high places, and questions in Parliament. More than just a design, his bridge had become a symbol of resistance, a challenge to Bradfield's vision and the government behind it. This wasn't just a vote on steel versus stone, arch, or suspension. It was a decision about who gets to shape a city's future. Questions were raised over Bradfield's expertise. His hands-on engineering experience was not as comprehensive as Stowe's. In October 1922, Stowe needed the Parliament of New South Wales to vote in favour of granting a special hearing of the merits of his concept over the Bradfield-supported design winner. He had his support. His followers were confident he was gaining traction.
What is described as the Battle of the Bridge was resumed in the Legislative Assembly at 1:30 this morning, when the House, in committee, returned to the consideration of the Sydney Harbour Bridge Bill.
On November 15, 1922, after a passionate debate, 21 voted for hearing Stowe, but 24 against. Just 2 people could have changed the course of Sydney forever. The Anzac Isle Bridge was not to be. Cities aren't always built by the best ideas. Sometimes they're built by the ideas that win by just a few more votes. Stowe lost more than a competition. He lost the chance to shape how the world would picture Sydney. One decision that created a legacy and consigned another to history. Until now.